The sun hangs low in the sky, casting long golden streaks over my farm. The wheat fields sway lazily in the wind, whispering their secrets. A few cows graze near the fence, their tails flicking at invisible pests. It's peaceful, just the way I like it. I step out onto my porch, stretching as I take in the crisp morning air. Owning a farm has its challenges, but it also has its rewards. There's nothing like waking up to the sound of birds instead of blaring sirens or traffic horns. I left the city behind for this exact reason. But not everyone welcomed my arrival. The neighborhood is a strange mix. Old money white families who've lived here for generations, a few newer homeowners, and then me, the outsider, in their eyes. They don't say it outright, but I see the stares, hear the hushed conversations when I walk into town. Most of them pretend I don't exist. That's fine. I didn't move here to make friends. Then there's her, Karen Whitmore, president of the HOA, the self-appointed ruler of this little corner of the world. With her stiff blonde bob, pearl necklaces, and perpetual look of disapproval, she's a walking stereotype. She doesn't live in my neighborhood. Technically, I'm outside the HOA's jurisdiction, but that hasn't stopped her from treating me like an unwelcome guest. She's been on my case since the day I moved in. First, it was, "Are you sure you're in the right place?" when she saw me unloading my truck. Then it was, "We like to keep things orderly around here," when I put up my rustic wooden fence. The kicker? She tried to fine me for violating community aesthetic standards. I laughed in her face and told her to check the property lines. That didn't sit well with her. I thought she'd let it go. Turns out, Karen isn't the type to lose quietly. Lately, my electricity bill has been weird. I run a farm, sure, but my power usage isn't crazy. I have solar panels, energy-efficient equipment. Yet, for the past 3 months, my bill has nearly doubled. I chalked it up to a clerical error at first, but then I noticed something strange. Every time I checked my breaker box, there was an extra pull, like something or someone was siphoning my electricity. I shrugged it off. Maybe I was imagining things. That is, until yesterday. I was checking my generator when I spotted it. An extension cord. Not just any extension cord, but a long, industrial-grade one, running from my barn all the way across the fence, straight into Karen's backyard. First, I just stared. My brain refused to process it. Karen, the same woman who treated me like an invader in her neighborhood. The same woman who tried to fine me for having the wrong kind of fence. The same woman who lectured me about standards and order. That Karen was stealing my electricity. My fingers clenched around the cord. My blood simmered. Oh, she has no idea who she just messed with. I don't touch the extension cord. Not yet. Instead, I follow its path with my eyes, my stomach coiling tighter with every step. It snakes through the dry grass, dips beneath my fence, and stretches straight into Karen's backyard like a neon sign flashing, "I'm stealing from you." I grit my teeth. Karen's house sits smugly at the edge of my property. A pristine 2-story colonial with a perfectly manicured lawn and an American flag snapping in the wind. It's the kind of house that looks like it belongs on a real estate brochure. Clean, expensive, and soulless. I squint, scanning her yard. That's when I see it. Her patio lights, bright as stadium floodlights, are glowing, even though the sun is still setting. A high-powered outdoor fan hums beside a cushioned seating area. And her pool? The filter's running. In March, I exhale sharply. I've lived off the land long enough to know exactly how much power those things drain. The only reason she's running them now is because she isn't paying for it. Because I am. I take a step forward, jaw tight, ready to storm over and, "Can I help you with something?" The voice is sharp, clipped. I turn. Karen stands at the edge of her property, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin, disapproving line. She looks me up and down like I'm a stray animal that wandered onto her lawn. I keep my expression neutral, just checking my land. Something seemed off. Her eyes flick to the extension cord, but she doesn't react. Instead, she lifts her chin. "Oh, I hadn't noticed anything. Liar." I wait. Karen stares back, unwavering, the tension stretching between us. Her presence alone is enough to send a clear message. This isn't your place. You don't belong here. I've seen that look before. In boardrooms, in job interviews, in grocery store aisles when someone assumes I'm in the wrong neighborhood. It's the look of someone who believes they own the air around them, and that people like me are just breathing it on borrowed time. I don't give her the satisfaction of reacting. Instead, I glance at the extension cord again, then back at her. You sure about that? Karen's smile is thin, brittle. Quite. She doesn't budge. Neither do I. A breeze kicks up, rustling the dry grass between us. Somewhere in the distance, a wind chime jingles. Finally, Karen exhales a small, exaggerated sigh, as if this whole interaction is exhausting her. If you have a concern, I'd be happy to direct you to the HOA board. We handle all community issues properly. I let out a low chuckle. Community issues? Good to know, I say. But my farm isn't part of the HOA. Remember, for a fraction of a second I see it. A flicker of irritation in her icy blue eyes. Then it's gone. She tilts her head, giving me one last condescending smile before turning on her heel and walking away. I watch her disappear inside. Yeah. Something's definitely off, and I'm gonna find out exactly what. The next morning, I head straight to my breaker box. I don't need a degree in electrical engineering to know something's wrong. My farm runs on solar panels and a backup generator, yet my power meter is spinning like a roulette wheel. I yank the extension cord from the outlet. A sharp snap of electricity crackles in the air, followed by a sudden silence. The sound of Karen's backyard paradise shutting down. The pool filter cuts off. Her outdoor fan slows to a stop. Her patio lights flicker and die. Then, almost instantly, bang, bang, bang. I turn just as Karen marches up to my fence, her face red with fury. What do you think you're doing? She snaps. Across my arms. Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing. She scoffs, rolling her eyes as if I'm being unreasonable. You're overreacting. It's just a little power. We're neighbors. Neighbors help each other. I let out a sharp laugh. That's rich, coming from the same woman who tried to fine me for existing. Her expression hardens. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic. I gesture toward the cord, still dangling from my hand. You were stealing my electricity, Karen. Karen exhales through her nose, her eyes flashing with something cold and calculating. Then, just like that, her demeanor shifts. She smooths her blouse, forcing a tight smile. I didn't realize there was a problem, she says, her voice suddenly honey-sweet. You should have just come to me instead of acting aggressive. There it is. That word. Aggressive. The same word people like her use when they don't like people like me standing their ground. I step forward, lowering my voice. Karen, don't play this game with me. You knew exactly what you were doing. She presses a hand to her chest, feigning offense. I don't appreciate being accused. Cut the crap. I drop the cord at her feet. This stops now. For a moment, she just stares at it. Then, slowly, her lips curl into a smirk. Or what? Clench my jaw. She's daring me to make a scene. Daring me to be the angry black man, while she plays the helpless victim. I won't give her that satisfaction. Instead, I take a breath and turn away. You'll find out soon enough. By noon, I'm sitting in the town's only hardware store, laptop open, scrolling through my security camera footage. I installed the cameras months ago, mostly for farm security, but now they're about to come in handy. A few minutes of rewinding and they're clear as day. Karen, walking across my property in the dead of night, dragging that extension cord behind her like a snake, plugging it into my outlet with the casual ease of someone who's done it before. I click save. That evening, I pay a visit to the local sheriff's office. Sheriff Dwayne Carter is an old-school type, grizzled, gray-bearded, and built like a retired linebacker. He leans back in his chair as I explain everything, arms crossed over his chest, eyes unreadable. When I show him the footage, he lets out a low whistle. Damn, that's bold. So what can we do? Ask. He scratches his chin, sighing. Look, I hear you, but taking power without permission? That's a civil matter, not criminal. Your best bet is small claims court. I stare at him. That's it. He shrugs. She didn't break into your house. Didn't destroy property. It's shady, sure. But legally, it's a gray area. I feel a slow, simmering anger rise in my chest. If I had been the one caught stealing power, they wouldn't be calling it a gray area. Dwayne must see the look on my face, because he leans forward. I'll have a talk with her, make her unplug, pay you back. But legally, my hands are tied. I nod slowly. I knew this would happen, but that's fine, because I'm about to handle this my way. The next morning, I'm in my barn, tending to the animals, when I hear the sound of an engine pulling up. Slow, purposeful. I step out just as Karen climbs out of her sleek white Lexus, dressed like she's heading to a country club, pressed slacks, a cardigan draped over her shoulders, and sunglasses perched on her nose like she's too good to even look at me directly. 2 other HOA board members trail behind her. Stan, the spineless accountant who nods at everything Karen says, and Diane, who clutches a clipboard like it's a Bible. Across my arms. Something I can help you with? Karen takes a slow, deliberate step forward, surveying my farm like she's allowing it to exist. We need to talk, she says, voice smooth but laced with something sharp. I lean against the barn door. Oh? About what? She pulls off her sunglasses and smiles, all fake politeness. It's come to the HOA's attention that your property is negatively affecting the aesthetic of the community. Your fence is unsightly. Your equipment is an eyesore. And we've had concerns about the way you maintain your land. I blink. Then I laugh. Loud and full. Karen's lips twitch. She wasn't expecting that. Let me get this straight, I say, stepping toward her. You're telling me my farm, which has been here long before you, doesn't fit your aesthetic? Karen tilts her head, her voice dropping into something sickly sweet. I understand you may not be familiar with how things work in a community, but we have standards. There it is again. That veiled condescension. That unspoken you don't belong here. I glance at Stan and Diane. Stan avoids my gaze. Diane tightens her grip on her clipboard, but she looks uncomfortable. Good. I shift my attention back to Karen. Cut the nonsense. We both know what this is really about. Karen blinks, feigning innocence. I'm not sure what you mean. I smile coldly. You didn't come here about my fence. You came here because I caught you stealing. Silence. For the first time, I see it, the flicker of uncertainty in Karen's eyes. But she recovers quickly, tilting her head with a patronizing sigh. Oh, please. You're making such a fuss over something so insignificant. I hold up my phone. One tap, and the video starts playing. Karen, on my land, dragging that extension cord, plugging it in. Her face drains of color. Behind her, Diane's eyes widen. Even Stan looks startled. I let the footage play for a few more seconds before pausing. Then I slide my phone back into my pocket. Doesn't look insignificant to me. Karen's jaw tightens. Then, slowly, her lips curl into a smirk. So what? She sneers, regaining her composure. What are you going to do? Call the cops. She scoffs, shaking her head. Go ahead. See if they care. See if anyone cares. Let's be honest, people like you. She stops just short of saying it, but I hear it loud and clear. People like me. My fingers flex at my sides, but I don't let her see that she got to me. Instead, I smile. No, Karen. I didn't go to the cops. I reach into my pocket and pull out a crisp white envelope. I hold it out. Karen hesitates, then snatches it, ripping it open. Her eyes dart across the page. Her smirk vanishes. What the hell is this? She hisses. I fold my arms. A power bill. Her head jerks up. I nod. See, since you clearly think I'm part of your HOA, I figured I'd send you a formal bill for the electricity you've been using. I gesture at the letter. I itemized it for you, based on my last 3 months of power usage. You owe me $10,000. Diane chokes on a gasp. Stan's mouth falls open. Karen's face is a mixture of rage and disbelief. You can't be serious. I smile wider. Dead serious. And since you love rules so much, I even added a late fee. If you don't pay by the end of the week, I'll take it to small claims court. Karen grips the paper so tightly her knuckles turn white. She's trapped, and she knows it. If she fights this, it goes public. If it goes public, her reputation is ruined. She looks at me, pure venom in her gaze. But I don't flinch. Checkmate. Karen's fingers tremble as she grips the fake power bill, her breath coming fast and sharp. For the first time since I moved here, she looks rattled. But then, just as quickly, she regains her composure, puffing up like a cornered cat. This is ridiculous, she snaps. I'm not paying you a dime. I lean in, my voice calm. That's fine. Don't pay. We'll let a judge decide. Stan swallows hard. Karen, maybe we should. She whirls on him. Shut up, Stan. Diane, still clutching her clipboard, looks torn. Karen, this is serious. Karen's jaw clenches. He's bluffing, she spits. He's trying to make me look bad. I pull my phone back out, tapping the screen. Already filed the claim. I say, holding up the email confirmation. You'll be getting the official court notice soon. But don't worry, I also sent a copy to the local news. Karen's face drains of color. I watch the wheels turn in her head. She knows exactly what this means. A court case is one thing, but a public scandal? That's something else entirely. I press forward. See, I started thinking. If you've been stealing my power, who's to say you haven't done this before? Maybe to another neighbor? Maybe even using HOA funds. Diane stiffens. Wait, what? I glance at her. Wouldn't be the first time a corrupt HOA president used their position to benefit themselves. Diane turns to Karen, eyes narrowing. Karen, tell me this isn't true. Karen's lips part, but no words come out. Stan frowns. You did withdraw money for electrical improvements last quarter, didn't you? Diane's face darkens. And didn't we just approve another increase in HOA fees? Karen's nostrils flare. Oh, don't be stupid, Diane. He's manipulating you. Diane shakes her head. No, Karen. I think you manipulated us. Karen whips back to me, eyes blazing. You think you're clever, don't you? You think you've won. I tilt my head. Haven't I? She huffs out a bitter laugh, but I can see the panic creeping in. That's when I hear it, the sound of tires crunching over gravel. I glance toward the road just as a sheriff's cruiser pulls up. Karen's breath catches. No. No, no, no. Sheriff Dwayne Carter steps out, adjusting his belt as he walks toward us. He gives me a nod before turning to Karen. Mrs. Whitmore. Karen straightens, her voice rushing out in a panic. Sheriff, thank God you're here. This man is. Dwayne holds up a hand. Save it. I already saw the footage. Karen freezes. What? Dwayne sighs. After we talked yesterday, I did a little digging. Turns out, we've had multiple complaints about unexplained power hikes in the area. And guess whose house kept not reporting issues? Karen's mouth opens and closes, her face going from red to white. And that's not all. Dwayne continues. Turns out, Diane here checked the HOA's financials. Karen whirls around. Diane, you traitor. Diane squares her shoulders. Karen, the HOA is getting audited. And you? You're done. Karen shakes her head furiously. You can't do this. I run this neighborhood. Dwayne sighs. Not anymore. He reaches for his cuffs. Karen stumbles back. Wait. This is a misunderstanding. I was just. Karen Whitmore. Dwayne says, voice firm. You're under arrest for misappropriation of funds, utility theft, and fraud. The cuffs snap around her wrists. Karen lets out a strangled gasp, then turns to me, her face twisting with venom. This is your fault, she screeches. You don't belong here. This town isn't yours. It's mine. Do you hear me? It's mine. Dwayne guides her toward the cruiser as she thrashes. I watch, arms crossed, expression calm. Nah, Karen, I say, voice steady. Not anymore. With that, the door slams shut and Karen Whitmore, HOA queen, neighborhood tyrant, entitled thief, is driven away. And I just smile. The next morning, the whole town is buzzing. Karen Whitmore, self-appointed queen of the neighborhood, was hauled away in handcuffs. And it's not just whispers among the neighbors. Her face is plastered all over the local news. HOA president arrested for fraud and utility theft. Community leader exposed in shocking power scam. By noon, reporters are circling her pristine, now eerily silent mansion. The HOA board, desperate to distance themselves, has already issued a statement condemning her unethical behavior. Stan, once her loyal lapdog, suddenly finds his spine and declares he had no idea what she was doing. Diane, to her credit, is already talking about implementing new transparency policies. But the real justice? The people. Neighbors who once ignored my presence now wave as they pass. People who wouldn't have met my eye now stop by, offering sheepish smiles, awkward nods. A few even apologize. Not directly, of course, but in their own way. Didn't know she was like that. One man mutters at the general store. Guess we let her get away with too much. Guess so. Karen posts bail the next day, but it doesn't matter. Her reputation is in tatters. The HOA has officially voted her out. She's banned from holding any leadership position again. And the civil lawsuit? That's still happening. Turns out, she siphoned thousands from the HOA's funds for personal expenses, legal fees, fines, a full audit on her accounts. She's drowning in it. And the final blow? Her husband, who up until now stayed conveniently in the background, files for divorce. By the end of the month, Karen Whitmore's house is up for sale. She's gone before the season changes. One evening, as I sit on my porch, a soft breeze rustling through the fields, Diane pulls up in her car. She steps out, hands in her pockets, looking humbled. I wanted to say, she starts, then exhales, shaking her head. I should have spoken up sooner. I watch her for a long moment, then nod. Yeah, you should have. She flinches, but she doesn't look away. I won't make that mistake again, she says quietly. I study her, searching for any sign of insincerity. I don't see it. Finally, I nod again. Good. She lingers a moment longer, then offers a small, tentative smile before heading back to her car. Maybe the neighborhood won't change overnight, but it's a start. That night, I walk the land, feeling the earth beneath my boots, the hum of the wind against my skin. This farm has stood for generations, and now it'll stand for generations more. Karen thought she could take what wasn't hers. She thought power, real or stolen, could keep her untouchable. But in the end, she lost everything. And me? I'm still here,